Waterman, welcome to part 7 of my research in relation to international government fraud, tying in with Iran, Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel, America, all working collaboratively in relation to a satanic infiltration and collaborative deception against humanity. And please verify and corroborate as much of the information that you can. We were talking and looking at Deborah and John Fleming and also Anthony Roberts. Here's Anthony Roberts. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't have needed to show all the faces and talk about this so personally, but remember, no organisations are responding to any of the multiple police reports. The evidence is now overwhelming. The public have the right to know the truth as to what's been going on. So I've got no option. This isn't something I want to do. I'm even going to have to expose my best friends soon in my life that are implicated in this. Unfortunately, it's not something I want to do. But Anthony Roberts was the acting chairman, and I did a live stream in 2024, and this man came onto the live stream with Anthony Roberts. Okay, I saw Anthony Roberts listening in the background, and I was talking about all of the evidence at that point, and they both came on, and there was a bit of a tag team to try and undermine my evidence. Anthony Roberts dropped himself in it. Well, he confirmed that he'd been collaborating with Sonia Poulton, who is an independent journalist that refused to assist me in exposing the fraud, and she was investigating the Madeleine McCann case. She then went and collaborated with people with an Export Manor Freehold Limited behind my back, and a company she was part of dissolved not long after I had a conversation with her that then linked into the fraud. This guy on the right is Reynard Wilson. He's got at least 2 other names now that have been established, but importantly, one of them after this was established to be Colin Suderman, and I don't know if I've got the screenshots here. Yeah, I've got it here. We'll come to it in a minute. And he was linked to very key companies, but he, or the platform that he was going under, had this as one of his main covers, or the front page of his videos. Mind of Steel, which was trying to undermine the threat of directed energy with a guy called Mind of Steel, who is also implicated in this as a massive part of the deception. Okay, they're all working collaboratively together, and I believe they are all linked to a satanic cult to deceive humanity. And they put, as you can see, everyone hates Gary Waterman. Now this involves my own previous police force, and they've got a picture of me with guns circling around me. Everyone hates me. I mean, this is the sort of evil people we're dealing with here. My own police force, and they link to the intelligence agencies, to the people behind this, and they link to the military and to the Prime Minister, to the royal family, etc. This is, it's just gobsmacking how awful they are. And I don't know if you can be able to see this actually, but this was the research in relation to his previous, or his alias name, and he's linked to 6G development, which is tying in with the threat of directed energy. Now, it's possible, because of what I'm identifying with CERN, okay, which we're going to talk about later, that all of this other stuff is a distraction from the real thing they're planning, which could be an inversion of the universe, because that ties in with directed energy as well, okay, potentially. Because there's overwhelming evidence of the threat of directed energy, and it appears as though we're being made to believe that ties to the cell towers, or the mobile telephone masts. It could be. We have to consider, based on the latest evidence I've got, that that's a distraction from the real threat. But he also linked to, which you can't read there, but it's Ericsson, which was a company which then linked to the cell towers in Fort William, but also CYM Limited, which is a company on an adrenochrome document, the blood taken from children at times of torture, and it also linked him to the military and also to vaccine companies. And just to zoom in a little bit more, you can see 6G development. This is taken from LinkedIn, okay, that was verified by somebody else. There was also a company's house record with the name linking to CYM, but then that appeared to be changed. I couldn't verify it. But 6G development, and you can just about read it in the boxes there. It doesn't help. Ericsson at the top, CYM Limited in the middle, a British Army officer at the bottom there, and then Pfizer, Monsanto, and the other one, was it Moderna? Can't remember actually, one of the other vaccine companies. And here's just to show you one of the screenshots from the CYM adrenochrome document, and it had a table of children's names between 6 and 12 years old, whether they committed suicide, etc. Now it could be that a lot of the information has been placed to make it appear as though these things are happening, okay? But there's the vast amount of evidence suggesting there's the blood from children linking into this, the adrenochrome, the sexual abuse, the murder. And at the very basis of this, which I need to keep coming back to and grounding myself to, we have a criminal financial system because of this forgery in place. So whatever way you look at this, it can't carry on, okay? We've got this criminal financial system. But you also had, as part of this international collaborative deception, this guy who's using various alias names again, but he was going under Mikey P for the rapid response, who I mentioned earlier. Then you had Trevor Meelam, that Lisa, my wife's dad, was directing me to initially months ago, tying into Bannerman, the person that videos them. Then we have Laura Nina, where I received information that she was working on behalf of the Sicilian Mafia, tying into the Vatican and supplying information to Donna Jones. And then I found information confirming Donna Jones, who's the police crime commissioner for Hampshire, Isle of Wight area, which is massively important in relation to this, was also linked to the international government fraud. And that's mentioned on the satanic document. And the day I released that evidence, okay, I haven't publicised this too much, the day I released that document and the evidence of the Satanic Temple United Kingdom, which featured Scott Chilton, the Chief Constable of Hampshire and Isle of Wight, he resigned the very same day. Or articles suggested he resigned. So on the left here, going back into the pizza company, on the left here, you can see a name, Ali Shah. Well, Ali Shah links to Rassisi Kitchen Limited. And Rassisi Kitchen, sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, dissolved in December 2023. And they were also appointed in 2017, the same year that Fleming Co. was created. Now here's Rassisi Kitchen Limited, and it's in the process of dissolving, striking off. It was incorporated in 2017, same year as Fleming Co. And you can see the accounts have not been filed again since 2020. 20 was the last time, actually, okay? And they haven't filed them. So the next ones were made up to the 31st of August 2021, due by the 31st of May 2022. Nothing updated since. That suggests the exposure caused them to panic and they stopped doing what they're supposed to with the companies. And it also had a previous name with logistics in it. Now, what does logistics mean? Oh no, sorry, we'll come to that in a minute. So Rassisi means, it's an archaic English word primarily used in the Middle English period, meaning to satisfy another's hunger with a great meal. But interestingly, the word is now obsolete, which I found quite interesting. Looking at the filing history for that company, again, look when the application to strike off took place. The same day that I approached Anthony Roberts in Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. And they started to strike off. They suspended it the same day as the other company. And then suddenly, this director resigns. Ali Shah. And you can see they appointed another person the same day. So Ali Shah. Or Shah Ali, sorry. When you research Shah Ali, now remember there's no verification, and I've got evidence suggesting they're using deceased persons' names to register companies. All right, that again, remember, that avoids the accountability and liability. You can't then prosecute someone on a company if they're no longer alive. Okay, and there's no verification. They're not checking the identities, and they're doing it with everything else in life pretty much, aren't they? The amount of times we have to verify stuff. This is deliberate because of this, because of their plan against humanity. Now here's Shah Ali, okay, which links to Persia, but also Russia. And reading further down, he ruled the Kazim Khanate for much of his life and 3 times tried to rule the Khanate of Kazan, which was independent until its conquest by Muscovy in 1552. Now this ties in with other evidence that we're going to look at. So Muscovy and that time period, okay, and Russia. Remember Russia and Persian. Sorry, the screen went funny then. Now that Muscovy is important. That had featured previously. And here it is just to confirm a screenshot from my evidence in relation to the Iona prophecy. Now I was led to the Iona prophecy and an end which related to the end of the world. And it appears, the evidence suggests they staged that to make me believe in the end of the world and an apocalyptic event, okay? But all of this end of the world talk, and we're going to talk about it more, I think they're trying to end time literally through a point of singularity. And the only way they can end time is by removing the universe. But I think what the end times means is it will be the end of the evil reign, and there will be a new earth, a new system of truth, transparency and trust, which is now, ironically, absolutely possible with the technology that they've implemented, which they were trying to use to harm humanity. So here's the new Muscovy company, just to show that it had already featured on my research previously. And it was incorporated on the 29th of September to 96, so 5 years before the World Trade Center disaster. So we've got that new Muscovy company, and it's fraudulent, by the way. It's the same 2 companies on it. I know you can't see it very well here, but you can go and research it. The same 2 companies that started Export Manor Freehold Limited, the company I was removed from, initiated by Deborah Fleming. And those 2 companies are Swift Incorporations and Jordan's Limited. Jordan's Limited is now trading as Vistra Limited, which you can go and look at, and it's a criminal fraudulent company. So wherever that is used, the illegality and the criminality follows through. And it was started in 1965, the year before the Church of Satan. So Muscovy. So we've got the link, and you can see here it also then linked to Ivan the Terrible Productions. So straight from that Muscovy company, one of the directors links to Ivan the Terrible Productions. Well, Ivan the Terrible, bearing in mind what we're talking about here, okay, was somebody that lived, according to this, you can see, between 1530 and 1584. So that ties in with the timeline of what we've just been talking about, with the link to Persia and Russia via that name they've used on the company. Now, Ivan the Terrible was Grand Prince of Moscow and all of Russia from 1533 to 1547, and the Tsar and Grand Prince of all Russia from 1547 until his death in 1584. Ivan's reign was characterized by Russia's transformation from a medieval state to a fledgling empire, but at an immense cost to its people and long-term economy. Hopefully you can hear me over the rain. Ivan was a devoted follower of Orthodox Christianity, which is the predominant religion I understand in Russia. But in his own specific manner, he placed the most emphasis on defending the divine right of the ruler to unlimited power under God. Some scholars explain the sadistic and brutal deeds of Ivan the Terrible with the religious concepts of the 16th century, which included drowning and roasting people alive or torturing victims with boiling or freezing water, corresponding to the torments of hell. That was consistent with Ivan's view of being God's representative on earth with a sacred right and duty to punish. He may also have been inspired by the model of Archangel Michael with the idea of divine punishment. Ivan the Terrible is quoted as stating, "I will not see the destruction of Christian converts who are loyal to me, and to my last breath I will fight for the Orthodox faith." Now, this ties in with the Church of Satan, okay, in a roundabout way, because we know it's wrong as humans to cause torture to another. And one of the reasons we know it's wrong, we won't want it done to ourselves, okay, but we're taking away that divine judgment by our Creator and faith that the Creator will bring that judgment. But also humans get it wrong, don't we? So we would do the torturing to innocent people. We've only got to look at what we do with war, haven't we? Oh, not we, but the people that are involved in war and bombings. They try and take out terrorists and they end up killing multiple children. We've only got to look at Israel. So you can't have the judgment by man. And this appears to be what these people are doing. Involved in the punishment and torture, not only punishment, torture. And this, I believe, links in to the torture of the children as well, and the blood being taken from them. Humans or man does not have the right to bring torture in terms of physical pain and harm. Obviously, you have to stop people from hurting others and restrain them, and if necessary, lock them up. But that whole system has brought that about, I believe, through the removal of the irrationality. Most things that happen is because people are drunk, under the influence of drugs, or they're suffering from some mental health issue that has very likely been brought about by the poisoning within the system, the poisoning of the earth, yes, the food, the water, the air, the pharmaceuticals, the stress and the pressure of life that's deliberately, satanically put on humanity. So you can see where this all ties in. So anyway, this company, this is where it's going to get very interesting for you. So this company, the Muscovy company, had already featured in my previous research. You can see back in December 2023, and I'd linked it to the head of the FBI, Chris Wray, via King's Spalding. So we're going to have a look at that now. Here to confirm I'd already saved images. You can just see in the middle there, I'd saved screenshots from the evidence in relation to Chris Wray, the head of the FBI. So we're going to look at the head of the FBI here now. Chris Wray, well, he's actually, and this is all part of them panicking about this. Since Donald Trump's come back in, Chris Wray is no longer the head of the FBI, and they've got another guy, which we'll talk about later. If I can get the screen, hold on, let's get this. Here we go. Chris Wray, born in 1966. That's the year of the Church of Satan founded. Okay, remember, those of you who heard my latest evidence, remember about the Soylent Green movie that I found out about recently after I'd found evidence of potential human remains going into the food chain? That was based loosely on a book that was written in 1966, the year of the Church of Satan foundation. That book was based in the year 1999. 1999 is the re-establishment of the Church of Satan after the death of its founder in 1997, the same year that Princess Diana died. In fact, 2 months after Princess Diana died, which is all tying into this, I believe, in the Egyptian infiltration of the Church of Satan to try and make it look like, leading to the falsified prophecies, that Satan was behind it, when in fact, I believe it's the ancient Egyptian pharaohs. And I suspect that's all to do with why Lady Diana died, because Harrods links to Exborn Manor Freehold Limited almost immediately. It's literally got the same name, person, Mavis June Latter, on a Harrods company that then links to Swift Incorporations, which was on Exborn Manor Freehold Limited's document. Okay, and all the way through Harrods, there's fraud. And now, since he's died, Mohammed Al-Fayed, if he's died, I doubt he's even really dead, the police are now investigating him for potential child trafficking because they're panicking. So what they're having to do is create all of these investigations. P. Diddy scandal, okay? His defence company that he was using is Bates, Wells and Braithwaite. That's the same company on the Madeleine McCann company, No Stone Unturned. It's also the same company on the Prince and Princess of Wales Foundation, Bates, Wells and Braithwaite, and it's the same company on the company Death Penalty Limited that Keir Starmer was a director and resigned in 2020 at a key time in relation to the COVID outbreaks. Anyway, Chris Wray, you can see he was nominated by President Donald Trump on June the 7th, 2017, and has served since August 2017, the same year that Fleming & Co. was created. Fleming & Co., sorry. Here's Fleming & Co. again at the beginning of the document. And in fact, it was just over a month after Fleming & Co. was incorporated that Chris Wray was elected by Donald Trump to become the head of the FBI. And remember, from Fleming & Co., Donald Trump links in almost immediately via his Scottish golf clubs and Dundas and Wilson, which links almost immediately to Jimmy Savile, to the royal families and Freemasons. And just to confirm again, the research in relation to Mr. Wray, Chris Wray, 7th of June 2017, nominated by President Trump, and then he served since August 2nd, 2017, and he was born the same year as the Church of Satan. Now, everyone that's believing in Donald Trump, you need to wake up, all right? He is central to what's going on here. There'll be people above him. He'll be being told to do what he's doing. Now, let's look at Chris Wray in a bit more in detail here. So, born in New York City, according to this, of course. Now, the important evidence, remember, is the Companies House records, because that verifies what we're looking at here. Born in New York City, graduated from Yale University in 1989 and attended Yale Law School. He joined government in 1997, and that was 4 years before the World Trade Center disaster, as an assistant United States attorney for the Northern District of Georgia. Now, don't know if you're aware of the Georgia Guidestones. It's very important in relation to this. They were put in place, granite rocks, supposed to be representing the equivalent of Stonehenge, which the Flemings also worked on that, by the way, or JP Morgan did, shall we say, and the Flemings are linked to JP Morgan. They worked on the archaeology for the Stonehenge and also for the Egyptian pyramids, which means they very likely falsified all of history through archaeology as well. But Georgia, these stones were put up in 1980 to represent an upcoming apocalyptic event, potentially a nuclear war or similar, and it had on there that the population should be kept below 500 million. When you research the Georgia Guidestones via the pseudonym given for its designer, Robert Christian, it goes almost immediately to Export Manor Freehold Limited. They were damaged the day before, 2 days before, on the 6th of July 2022, 2 days before I approached Anthony Roberts, leading to his resignation. So we have Georgia, and he was a litigation partner with the law firm King and Spalding, which we're going to come to in a minute. On June the 7th, 2017, President Donald Trump nominated Wray to replace James Comey as director of the FBI, as we mentioned earlier. On June the 9th, 2003, the President George W. Bush nominated Wray to be the 33rd Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Criminal Division. Don't need to say why 33rd is important, do I? 33 degrees of Freemasonry, okay? Of the Justice Department. Wray was unanimously confirmed by the Senate on September the 11th, 2003. Okay? Same date as the World Trade Center disaster. Don't know if some of you may not have seen the other parts of the video. Donald Trump was the president, the 45th president? Okay, so 4 and 5 is 9. And he was also the 7th president. Well, that's 11. 9/11. Date of the World Trade Center disaster. The mockery is all the way through. It really is. In early 2004, someone else told me that, by the way, so I can't take credit for that. In early 2004, the Justice Department issued a finding that the Bush administration's warrantless domestic surveillance program under the terrorist surveillance program was unconstitutional. So 3 years after the World Trade Center disaster, the Justice Department issued a finding that the Bush administration's warrantless domestic surveillance program under the terrorist program was unconstitutional. Interesting. And then we're leading to complete surveillance, aren't we? And I think that was part of the reason for the World Trade Center disaster, which is clearly a deliberate collaborative deception against humanity, involving the American government, UK government, and international governments, all involved in this satanic cult against its own people. Wray joined Kings and Spalding in 2005 as a litigation partner in the firm's Washington, D.C. and Atlanta officials. In the firm's Washington, D.C. and Atlanta offices, Wray represented several Fortune 100 companies and chaired the King and Spalding Special Matters and Government Investigations Practice Group. During his time as Kings and Spalding, Wray acted as New Jersey Governor Chris Christie's personal attorney during the Bridgegate scandal. Ray's firm also represented Russian energy giants Gazprom and Rosneft. So a connection to Russia. Bearing in mind, we're coming to that in a minute, and we've been talking about Russia very recently. Here you can see an article from 2018 saying FBI Director Ray banked $14 million from Kings and Spalding since 2016. Another article linking him to King Spalding. So let's have a look at King and Spalding. King and Spalding LLP is an American multinational corporate law firm that is headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. Again, Georgia Guidestones, with offices located in North America, Europe, and the Middle East. Connections to the Middle East. Okay, this is important because we're talking about the link to Iran and everything as we're moving forward here. There's over 1,300 lawyers in 23 offices globally. King Spalding, also known as K&S, was founded in January the 1st, 1885. Quite an old company. Company's house, remember, was created in 1844, 41 years earlier than that. And Jack Spalding in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta remains the global headquarters of the firm. It also has additional offices all over the world there that you can see. Brussels, Dubai, Frankfurt, etc., etc., etc. Geneva is important. Okay, so Switzerland. Because remember, the Pharaoh bloodline appeared to be based in Switzerland, which is, I think, why we've got the World Economic Forum there, and why they've got it as a neutral country. It's where the Hadron Collider is located, which I think is absolutely key to all of this, which we're going to talk about later. And their plan, I believe, to literally invert the universe as a satanic mockery of the creator. Anyway, we'll come to that later. Interestingly, the firm here advises Donald Trump's real estate empire, according to one report, which also cited the American Civil Liberties Union. Those of you who follow my evidence will know we have the National Council for Civil Liberties, okay, which was involved under the Liberty Group in the refunding or the government grant given to Larry Silverstein after the World Trade Center disaster. In fact, the evidence I've seen, one of the addresses for the adrenochrome deliveries, according to the document and information I've heard about, links to Donald Trump's address in New York, Trump Towers. Is it Trump Towers? I think it's Trump Towers. In 2018, the firm filed a Foreign Agents Registration Act application notifying their work as an advisor to Saudi Arabian organization King Abdullah City for Atomic and Renewable Energy, which was created by King Abdullah bin Abdulaziz, sorry if I'm getting that wrong, Al Saud, to pursue a nuclear program. So these are the people, okay, they're now saying they don't want certain countries in the Middle East to have nuclear weapons, but here they are advising in relation to nuclear weapons and renewable energy. It's all a complete collaborative deception against humanity, everybody. And remember, we're coming in, and we're going to look at more evidence coming in from the surname and the research of the current reigner or ruler of Iran. And just quickly before we finish this, just clicking on there, you can see that King Abdullah City for Atomic and Renewable Energy talks about that here. I am no doubt that if I research this company, I haven't had a chance, it will go straight back into the frauds, and very likely, it would not surprise me, back to the Flemings and everything that I'm talking about here. Come back for the next part, please. Thanks very much. Bye.